Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Ivy League, a Chicago Cubs podcast. I am Marco Santana. I'm down here in beautiful Florida. Ethan Davis, you're up there in beautiful Chicago, Illinois, I should say. And Rob, you are there in what part of Georgia?
Savannah area.
I'm going to ask that question every single week because I do not remember things at all. But no, you guys, this
Ivy Island today, relaxing.
There you go. Hey guys, this is big for us, right? We are starting this week. We're weekly, man. We're weekly. We get to actually talk about this every single week as the Cubs start coming down. Chicago by way of Japan. We're going to be able to be on here every single week talking about how they're doing. What are you guys excited for? I mean, when it comes to being able to do this every single week, it is kind of a lot of it's our schedule, right? And then let's not dance around it. But now we got this, and we're all ready to, we're in the downside of hockey and baseball, basketball, and football's done, and now we can start focusing on the real stuff.
Well, if you're a Blackhawks fan, the downhill slide for hockey started months ago. But
True.
I think I'm most excited to just talk about regular season games, especially with a lot of the early matchups. We're really going to see what type of team the Cubs are with their gauntlet of a schedule in April. So right. I'm excited to see how they're going to do. And obviously, how everything's gone so far in spring training, it looks like we've got some good, healthy depth outside of Matt Shaw. So I'm excited.
We'll talk a little bit about that, of course. But Rob, what's going on? How you doing, man?
We're doing pretty good. Excited to get everything going weekly here coming up. Really excited watching the Cubs kick butt in spring training.
For sure. We have a little bonus baseball, right? We're the first ones. We're the first ones on the actual regular season stage. We'll be heading to Japan here. By the time this posts, we are just one day away from March, which is, by the way, insane to me. But mid-March is when we're going to be out there in Japan, finally games that really count. One, however, person that's not going, that they just announced today, is Nico Horner. And we have others that may not as well. For you guys, does it put a little bit of like a downer on the opening day because if he were given 2 weeks, he might be back, right? But you know what? The schedule is what the schedule is, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like it's opening day. It's just the Japan opening day, and I feel like why risk worsening an injury for a 2-game series against a team that, let's be honest, is already expected to win the World Series. I just don't think it's worth risking longer injuries for Horner or Shaw.
Well, these are regular season games, though. They're counting as regular season games, like season openers.
Yeah, but what benefit do you get from rushing them out there?
Oh yeah, I'm not. 100%. Rob, what are your thoughts, man?
I think the Japanese games are definitely something to care about. It's something that we should use as our primer for we've got the opportunity to play first. Let's use it. And
not to mention our top 2 starters can pitch our first 4 games, right? Because after Jam, you can rest them a little bit.
And then Nico not going, it doesn't really bother me. I wouldn't mind if they sat anybody who isn't feeling 100%. Right. I think kind of like Ethan said, there's no reason to rush them out there. We got 160 more games after that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like what they do, though, right? I mean, there's obviously been a lot more emphasis on Japanese ball players in the major leagues ever since back in the mid-90s, right, when they started to come over. And I think now you have like superstars that are here. Obviously, Ohtani, we had Imanaga last year. And I mean, these 2 teams are chosen for a reason. It's not accidental that it's the Dodgers Cubs. But I think we've had games all over the world now. I mean, I think it's kind of like a natural progression, and it makes an MLB better, I think. And for me, anyway, it's exposure for the league to these other communities or parts of the world.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, one thing that's always stood out to me recently in the past couple of years was that World Baseball Classic game, Japan versus USA.
Oh God, yeah.
98% of TVs in Japan had that game on. They
Right,
are huge
right,
about baseball in Japan.
right.
Everybody that I've talked to that's gone to Japan and watched a Japanese baseball game are like, dude, as a baseball fan, you have got to go. The atmosphere is
Yeah,
insane. They get so into it. So I
it's like a
think
soccer
baseball is
match.
already, yeah, I think baseball is
Yeah,
already big in Japan. But I think that by doing something like that, it might get some other countries interested in doing something similar, which I think is always good.
yeah.
Yeah,
They put a
Korean baseball games are pretty fun to watch too. When I was stationed over there, I caught a couple of them. They're not nearly as big as Japan, but they're
right.
still pretty big fans.
I went to
That's
like
a cool next step too.
yeah, for sure. I mean, we have one of the best fan bases. I mean, obviously everyone's gonna say that, but I think we're the only ones telling the truth, right? But like, I think we have. I I went to an Orlando City soccer match this last weekend, and as much we're not like a huge soccer community, but the soccer matches, even in the MLS, are constant chanting, constant like just excitement and all that stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got our ass whooped for it too, but the atmosphere though, I would love to see like a baseball crowd, like the Japanese crowd, kind of carry over to Chicago. Yeah, we're a great crowd, or I think, and when we're late in the game, it feels energetic. It could be April or May or September. You wouldn't even know the difference, I feel. But yeah, man, I love that raucous crowd when they're out there just creating chants. It shows like ownership of the team. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I was at that game when Cody Bellinger was getting his name chanted and hit a homer. And this was like an April game, and it was
Right,
raining, and
right,
there was maybe 13,000 people there, but those 13,000 of us fans, we made ourselves known.
right.
And Wrigley's always fun, and especially in the playoffs or when it's a big game. I mean, we're a sellout crowd.
Well, I think the excitement right now, we're kind of back to that excitement level. Like, yeah, we still need to see what these guys can do on the field. But right now, hey, we're undefeated, guys. I mean, like we're in spring training. We're six. I was so excited that we tied today, so we can talk about an undefeated team. Um, you know, for me, it's cool to see that. And what Rob, let's start with you. Like, what do you think about just how they're looking right now? Obviously, you know, the results are what we want them. You want them to win, but talk a little bit about just watching them kind of take care of business. Yeah, it's spring training. I have some things to say about that. But what are your thoughts when you're watching this team?
I see a team with a good mix of youth and veteran
Right.
veteran contributions. I see some pretty solid defense overall
Hmm.
from some guys that I didn't necessarily expect it. Workman looks really good, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see where he winds up. It's always really fun to watch the single A and the
Right.
high rookie guys. Obviously, they probably won't be making too much of a difference in the big league clubs in 2025.
Right.
But man, it's good to know what we got coming, or what we have coming, or what we have to work with come the trade deadline.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like the plan coming to fruition, right? I think a lot of it is that. Ethan, what are your takes on the early stages here?
I mean, honestly, Jonathan Long has really impressed me. He's been
Yeah.
hitting every game, and Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguars doing his thing.
Amazing.
Ivan Brethauer, I keep
Yeah.
forgetting how to pronounce it, but
With
there's some Aaron Judge comparisons way too early being made just
Yeah.
the batting
Yeah. Yeah.
stance and
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
physique.
yeah, that bomb he hit to left field though. The
Yeah, that
other
was
day,
personal. I don't know what that
was-
baseball did to him, but that was personal.
he did not want that thing to be in the ballpark anymore. Yeah.
And I think another thing that people just kind of batted their eyes at was the Justin Turner signing. I think he's going to make a huge difference on this team in 2025. That veteran leadership, and people have already said how excited they are to play with Ian Happ and Swanson. They've all said, "Wow, we're really happy we signed him." And I think that veteran presence means something. And if you look at it, whether it was the Blackhawks or the Cubs, and the 2010s era when we won our championships, we had that perfect mix of the young guys stepping up and the veteran presence. So that gets me excited when I see the young guys doing good, and I see people like Justin Turner and Kyle Tucker mentoring the younger guys. That gets me excited.
Well, to Rob's point, I mean, like if you're someone who is a veteran, I mean, spring training is meaningless, right? I mean, no, let me do a caveat there, right? I think the older guys, they're trying to get their swing, they're trying to get their pitches down, they're trying to get their timing back and all that. But for the young portion of the team, though, when they see success early, that can catapult them into the regular season. I feel. I mean, it's not like last year we were 16-15 in the preseason, in the spring training. This year, like I said, 6-0-2. Again, no one's going to care about this as soon as the season starts, right? But at the same time, it's these young kids. First of all, some of them are trying to make the team, right? So they're coming through and executing. They're learning how to win. The Kyle Tuckers, the Ian Happs, the Dansby and Nico, they're going to be there when the bell rings. So is Justin, right? But I love seeing these young guys kind of like experiencing success with this club, and I think that can only help us this season.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Rob, about how Gage Workman's impressed you, what really impressed me about that first game, he get the homer and everything. This is a Rule 5 draft pick from Detroit. He knows if he has a bad spring, he's going back to Double-A at Detroit, most likely. So for him to just first game, he's nervous. He's got those jitters. This is his first real spring training. And for him to come out of the gate like that, and his defense so far has looked rock solid. I was very upset to hear about Matt Shaw's injury, and I'm still am. I hope he's okay. But Gage Workman, I think, he's defensive-wise, he's already there. For
solid stand-in at the very least.
And even if Gage Workman's only a defensive replacement, that is still an upgrade to what the hell we had last year at third base. So
to Nicky half a bag.
Yeah, wherever he is now, yeah. But I think
hurt down the Mets.
Right.
I saw a headline that he pulled
hamstring, wasn't it?
Pulled up short on a grounder to the deep grass or the shallow grass right behind the pitcher. Kind of came up limping.
Yeah, for sure. And that's as I said two episodes ago, I don't give a shit about Nick Madrigal anymore. But he's definitely, that's something that's going to be we're looking at these young kids, and I think Gage Workman, if anything, like you said, he's a fill-in, but he's kind of like a man on a mission, right? He's got his chance, and I mean that's what you want. Sometimes you need that guy that comes out of nowhere and just kind of takes the reins, whether it's the reins of the utility spot, or like you said, with Shaw's injury, next man up. And if this guy can do the job, I mean, Shaw, you don't know what Shaw's going to give you. I mean, Shaw is not like a proven commodity yet in the majors. So I mean, if all of a sudden Workman starts rolling, you just don't know what's going to happen with the whole depth chart and whatnot. So,
what did you guys think about BJ Murray the other day? Did you guys see the game that he played a good chunk of? No, he looked.
No, what were your thoughts on him?
He was solid enough. I don't remember how old he is off the top of my head, but I want to say for where he's at developmentally, he's a little better than I expected him to be on the defensive side. And
but is there room for him though?
There's not necessarily room for him at third, but there again, he's got a good bat, and just seeing the guys prove it against some major league players, right? Major league batted balls. That's an encouraging sign and something that adds to their value. I think.
Right. No, 100%. And it's again like they might be the guy who is in AAA, kind of coming back and forth, like yo-yoing between
the
two spots. So as good as the Cubs are doing, we're excited. We know they're not going to go 162-0. I hope. I don't think so anyway. But the White Sox might go 0-162. What do you guys think of? They're also looking for their first win in spring training. They're getting in their reps when it comes to losing already. And we're not. I'm not. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to not be an anti-White Sox guy, but those guys look terrible. Like, what the hell? I was talking to a White Sox fan today. I mentioned it earlier. I was talking to a White Sox fan today, and we got a little. We'll call it a friendly wager. He just, even he's like, I don't want to bet on the White Sox. There's nothing, not at all. What do you guys think? 40, 50 wins? They're over under 55.
Which is just hilarious.
They're predicting a 100 loss season. What the hell?
It's just Jerry Reisendorf. I quit watching the Bulls years ago because I know what will be as a basketball team with Jerry Reisendorf, and it's no different than the White Sox. You can go to a White Sox game, and you can get $5 Modelo's and $4 tickets and sit wherever you want because there's 10 people in the game. So I went to quite a bit of White Sox games last year, for the practically free Modelo and the free baseball game, and they literally look like a AA or AAA team half the time. Ellie De La Cruz, the game I went, had a field day with them, and I was at Juan Soto's 3 home run game against them. They just basic baseball, like, okay, this guy's hit 2 homers off you already. How about we don't pitch to him?
Well, you want to
things like that. They just don't.
So when you go to Sox games, make sure you have somewhere to keep that ticket sub, because you might see like a 7 home run game or something like that. But
you never know.
Have some historical game that you're a part of. But don't want to waste too much time on the White Sox. But I at least wanted to put the knife in there for a little bit, at least here the preseason as we're making our way to the regular season. Trust me, we could do a whole podcast. Like, let's just see how bad the Sox lost today.
Yeah, I'm looking at their roster right now.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Makes you feel great.
Yeah, absolutely. So third base is a big one for us, right? I mean, we have we talked about Shaw earlier, but for the most part, our starting lineup is or roster position wise, we know who's leading, who's likely going to be there. Clearly, with the Japan games coming up in, like I said, just 2 weeks. Where do we go with third base?
Okay, yeah, sure. No, I just I don't know. I think as far as third base goes, it's just going to be by committee. I think we're going to see Workman and Birdie. I just think we're going to see more than one guy there that first month, especially if Shaw's battling injury. I also think if somebody's doing well, they're not going to take him out of the third base spot either. And it's really anybody's position. I don't think Shaw's injury really, I hate to be that guy, but it changed things for him. Now somebody else is going to get a chance to prove themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Again, this isn't Little League, right? If you're out and someone takes a position, you're going to be on the bench and try to work your way back in at some point. And I trust Craig Counsell, right? That's going to be on him. He's going to have to put the right card out there on the table day to day.
And the cold hard fact is, we've still got plenty of control over Shaw.
Yeah.
And whereas if Workman continues to look the way he does, if he proves it, then, like we've said already, we got to either lock him up or let him go for the year at least. And I think we'd be foolish to let him go if he continues on the path he's going on. What do you guys think about Turner playing any third this year? I know he's played primarily first for the last couple of years, first in DH.
Well, I said yesterday that he's going to be getting some reps at third in spring training.
Yeah, I mean, reps is one thing.
But he's a veteran. I mean, listen, this is a veteran though. I mean, veterans know how to play baseball, right? They know. Yeah. They know how to prepare. They know if it's a third base day. They know the warm up routine. They know the routine before the game. I have the utmost confidence they can throw Justin Turner at any position, frankly, and he would be adequate. Now, you're not going to put him out there all the time. You're giving up defense if you do that. But no, I think that's one of the. I think that's one of the appeals of signing him was his flexibility and his ability to kind of to spell a lot of people.
And that was the same thing. I think the same philosophy for John Birdie, and
Mm,
you know, Justin Turner's thing is he still has power. So that's kind of what he brings off the bench on top of being able to play the infield positions. And I think Birdie's got the speed
right.
on top of, good defense. So I think they know what they're doing with their bench. I'm much more satisfied with the Cubs bench this year than I was last year. As much as
100%.
I had this weird attachment to Patrick Wisdom, he
Right.
really
Right.
wasn't that good of a baseball player.
Yeah.
But he was the nicest guy ever. But I just, baseball's baseball. You need to have the best players out there, and you can't have them play every 162 games. Not everybody's Cal Ripken Jr.
Right.
So having that solid bench, I just I don't think people really realize how many wins that's going to account for this year compared to last year.
Who's
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead. No,
okay.
you go.
Who's going to be our bench outfielder?
It's got to be
have
Alcantara,
one?
don't you think?
Yeah.
It's got, dude. The way
Right?
he's been playing,
Okay.
he reminds me of Fernando Tatis Jr. The Jaguar, Kevin Alcantara. Yeah, he's Alcantara. Why do I always say his name wrong? I don't know.
But
He reminds me.
Here's the thing about him. Here's the thing about him. He is battling right now for a backup spot. The question becomes: do you want him to be on the bench, or do you want him to get at bats in AAA? I say you want him on the bench because it gives you that option. Because Hap, PCA, Tucker, Seiya for the most part DH. Alcantara's not going to get a lot. Now, I trust Counsell, but Alcantara's not going to get a lot of opportunities to get in the game consistently. But I still would rather have him as an option on the bench than down. Like he can work with major league hitting coaches, and maybe he is the guy who takes over next year if depending on what happens with Tucker, etc. But I think he's playing himself into a roster spot, and it's hard to say no when this guy's hitting 500 still, right, or something like that, and he's just like,
I think so.
rushing.
And there's the other thing is with the DH.
429 as of today.
Yeah, with the DH, you can always put him in there. When guys any outfielder needs a day off, you can put him at the DH or put him in an outfield spot or whatever. Because I know Seiya is going to be the main DH, but I don't know. It's a good problem to have when somebody's playing their way into the roster. And I think he's athletic enough. He could always be a late inning guy too if somebody's not hitting that day.
Right.
He's versatile.
Or he's a good bat off the bench in the late innings. Speaking of late innings, I mean, you bring him in there, and all of a sudden, this guy who's like a freaking freak of nature comes in the seventh, eighth inning, down one. You got a man on. You're the opposing pitcher. You're looking at a battle. And again, like you said, Ethan, man, and we're gonna say this a lot. It's a good problem to have. I'd rather have these problems than the problem we had 3 years ago, right? So this is like a wealth of embarrassment of riches. That's the word, right? We're not quite at LA Dodgers embarrassment, but we're getting there.
Well, and the thing too about Justin Turner, I think everybody said that he quote unquote started to drop off last year, but he played half of his year with Seattle, who is notorious for having the worst ballpark to hit in. So I still see him as to keep up with his career averages. So I don't know. He's 40 years old, but he's got some gas in the tank.
I think you guys are kind of like me, where I'm positive, I'm enthusiastic, but it's almost like a guarded optimism. It's like I don't want to go overboard. I'm like, wow, this team looks like it's put together really well. It's hard to say we don't have any holes in the lineup, but I think we don't. But I hate to say that because that means someone's all of a sudden Bush should be hitting 180 in like mid-May. It's my fault for saying that. But it's like I just see a lot of good components right now, and we've not even, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but I'm not jumping on that quite yet. But we've not even talked about the bullpen and the bullpen arms that we have coming. And then, oh, by the way, we have 7 decent starters, and we have a battle for a number 5 position because the top 4 are taken. That's insane to me as a Cubs fan to assess it that way for the Cubs and not think, well, am I full of shit or is this real? I mean, what do you got? I mean, talk about that because I think like there's an optimism, right? But it's spring training. Everyone's optimistic except the White Sox. But everyone's optimistic. So like when you have these guys, we're gonna be contenders, right? I mean, we have to be there.
I think you're right. Pitching wins games. Pitching
Yes.
wins games. And who cares if you need to rotate the fifth man? I think that's another thing. The fifth guy can be by committee too.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the bullpen too. Is like we're looking at some of these guys here in spring training that are just they're as advertised, right? They're a couple. You get a couple. We're not going to shut everybody out. So like I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my god, we lost. Not this happened yet, but if we lose a game 11-2, like the sky is falling. No, some days your bullpen will not have it, or the offense will be on. But over a long period of time, the more talented arms win, right? And they come out with these great stats at the end. We have a team where if one or two arms slump, Council could go to like the fifth, sixth reliever and still have a decent shot no matter what part of the lineup you're in. You know what I mean? Like I think talk a little bit from you guys when it comes to the bullpen, what you're thinking about. Now that we have nice closer competition. But even leading up to it, like this roster was put together really well. Like they knew they were targeting specific innings, and it looks good to me. But am I over enthusiastic? Should I tamp it down a little bit, guys?
Rob, I'll let you you go first on this.
I mean, should you tamp it down a little bit? It's the Cubs, so
right.
Yeah, maybe
history's told us anything.
Maybe history, yeah. Historically, yes, we should all be a little less enthusiastic.
Historically, Marco, shut the hell
up. However, so far I see at least one capable closer. I see at least 2 to 3 capable setup men. I see another 3 to 4 6th, 7th inning guys for various situations that are better at various situations than others. I think our Venn diagrams in the bullpen overlap pretty well with who's good at what, and it's probably a bit early to call anybody any specific role, and probably a bit early to build the actual bullpen sheet out yet as to who our main guys are going to be. But we've got some really good options so far. And I mean, even guys like Bickford, and I know Brad Keller only pitched once, but he put up 3 good innings. Merriweather's been good to watch. I could go on. I think a lot of probably half the guys in the bullpen and say they're not doing too bad right now.
I think some of it goes back to what I said earlier, where the veterans know what they're doing. And the interesting part, though, for these veterans when it comes to bullpen, they know how to put their prep work in. And, oh, by the way, they're kicking ass right now. Not just are they putting the work in, they're actually getting results. And that's exciting. Ethan, you had something to say. Let's go.
No, I think having the pitcher problem that we do now is great. Yeah. I think it's going to breed competition, too, in that locker room because – if I'm a Cubs bullpen arm right now, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have much room for error because they've got plenty of guys who could take my spot. And I think in a weird way that makes people play better. I don't think we're going to have what was it last year? 8 or 9 blown saves in April alone. I think it was something crazy like between April and beginning of May. I don't think nothing like that's going to happen. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't foresee that being a problem.
It wasn't going to happen until Ethan just said it out loud. So thanks a lot, Ethan.
We'll come back to this if it happens.
We are going to run that clip on the first day we blow a save. Be like, you son of a bitch. But listen, guys, all joking aside, I mean, I think there is we have not even like, and also, you guys didn't even address the starting pitchers that we have. Where we have like some arms potentially that Now one guy drops out. Now you have a long reliever, right? Who now you have the 6th through 9th inning covered. You know what I mean? It's really insane. It's really it's looking good. Ross is looking good. Spring training is always the time that hope springs eternal. That whole thing, right? But I'm telling you, man, it looks really good. I think when we get to our predictions episode here in a few weeks, like I don't know if I'm guessing 130 wins. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, like, it's a cool. Again, like you said, Ethan, it's a good problem to have, and it's not a problem for the fans. It's a problem for that pitcher who gets squeezed out at the last on the last day. So, we're looking at spring training, and as we said earlier, the veterans, they know how to handle themselves. The rookies, if they have early success, it could turn into regular season success. I saw something today, and I wanted to address it because he is my guy, and that is Seiya Suzuki, right? I do not think he will be the odd man out anywhere. He's going to get a chance all year. I do think he's a regular. Whether it's like, I'm not saying 160 games at DH. I'm saying, like, he'll get his spots to spell Kyle Tucker every now and then. But he's 0 for 9. And I'm already seeing people like, oh, what's wrong with Seiya? Chill the hell out. It is spring training, 0 for 9, and you're already – now, don't get me wrong. He's already mid-season form when it comes to fielding. We won't get into – but it's just how do you –
to DH for a reason.
Yeah. But, like, you guys lift me up here, right?
0 for 12, by the way.
Over 12, that's fine. Again, it's spring training. Like, I don't care about spring training numbers when it comes to veterans, right?
Yeah, no. Just clarifying.
Oh, for sure. I didn't know what he did today. I knew he was 0 for 9 going into today. But there's one guy who, again, and I don't mean to call people out on this, but I think, the one thing that they said was like, oh, he's taking pitches again. Yeah, because he knows the strike zone. Like, there are a couple pitches that missed the zone and he was called out, and they're like, oh, he's got to expand the zone. No, he does not. When he hits the ball, like, his velocity is good because for the most part he has a good eye. It sucks that the umpires seem to always be terrible for him, but I don't know. I just don't think you justify that by saying start going outside the zone, because then you get weaker contact.
Yeah, and I don't, with veterans in spring training, they're doing tweaks. They're working on things.
Right.
Seiya going 0-12 wouldn't make me raise an eyebrow versus somebody, like Workman or Alcantara, that
right.
Alcantara, I mean, sorry. I don't know why I was but yeah, anyway. But no, when a young guy is doing that bad in spring training, that's going to translate to me to the big leagues. But when he's probably just working on something, or, and the umps definitely screwed him. I don't know what personal vendetta umpires have against Seiya, but last year I think he was 1 or 2 on most blown calls by an ump.
We should do an over-under on how many Suzuki pitches the Cubs challenge this year. I feel like now that they have the challenge there, we might have a few.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because it screws with him. I think it gets to his psyche a little bit because he's like, I know the strike zone, and I'm not going to swing at something that's not a strike. So,
like the person who did say that, like, that's a natural reaction, right? Like, start to expand your zone. But again, all his life he's known the zone. And I don't know. I can recall a couple pitches last year where he went outside the zone, and it was very it was so notable, and I remember it because he rarely does it. I remember, however, a lot of times when he would be down outside, strike 3 called, right? And it was just really it was bizarre almost how it was always him. It felt.
I think something with Seiya also. Never mind the 0 for start. Like you said, I agree with you, Marco. That doesn't really mean much to a guy like that. Most likely. I think Seiya, people who want him to chase and expand his zone, from what I can see, his swing isn't really built for the extensions either. His swing is built for the zone, which I mean, well, it should be, but it's built a very specific way, and I think you ask him to do that, you're asking him to go outside of the mechanics that got him where he's at.
Exactly.
And, you know, you're potentially asking for trouble there.
You articulated exactly what I was saying. Like, he's got his thing already. He's to go outside of the mechanics is like, you wouldn't tell anybody to do that as they're coming up, unless you're trying to literally change the swing because you know better. But Seiya's not a young kid who needs tweaking, I don't think. But
no, he's top 10 in OPS since August 1st of 2023.
Yeah.
In the National League. So I know he doesn't want to admit it, him or his agent, but his offensive stats did go up when he was a DH last year. Yeah. So if we get, a full season of him at DH, I think he's 25 home run potential.
Definitely. Listen, once Kyle Tucker came on board, as much of a Seiya fan as I was, like, no, take your, if you want to stay in this lineup, take a DH role. And he to his credit, he seems to he's okay with it. I think go ahead.
Another thing too with Seiya that makes me excited is how much better are him and Hap going to be as hitters when they don't have to do everything.
Right.
I think Kyle Tucker protecting them in the lineup. I'm excited for Seiya this year because if you look at 2023 when Bellinger had his year and other people were hitting in 23, and Seiya didn't have all that pressure in his. I think that protection for him in the lineup is going to make all the difference in the world. I think Seiya's poised for a big offensive year. I really do.
I mean, we have a 1 through 9 that's pretty decent. I mean, again, we're not mashers. We're not getting like 4 guys with 40 home runs or anything like that. But we'll get a good number. We'll get a good number with like 25 plus.
Yeah, I mean, one day I'd love to see one of those. What was that? 23 Braves, where like everybody had 20 plus homers.
Yeah, we're not going to be that.
But one day I'd love to see that in Chicago, but I don't think that's this year.
Yeah, but the thing is,
that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that whole conversation goes back to the pitching staff where we're not going to need 7 runs a game to win, But it's exciting though, and speaking of excitements, we are freaking going to Japan, guys, and we're not us as the Ivy League. We're not going there yet, but maybe next year we can do that. But you guys, this is it. We're roughly 2 weeks away from real baseball actually counting. Give me your sense of just. Let's talk a little more about the Japan trip. Obviously, Nico's not there, but I mean, I can't wait to see this. I cannot wait to see Imanaga, Suzuki, Ohtani, of course, all the guys from the Dodgers. I love this showcase, and I love that the Cubs are a part of it. If for no other reason than we get real Cubs baseball earlier in the year
and earlier in the morning.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. You can watch it on my way into work.
Right, there you go.
On my way home.
I'm excited though because my son, I'm a new parent, first-time parent. For those listening, it's almost 2 months. He's actually 2 months today, so that's exciting. But he's up at 6 o'clock for at least a little bit. So we're gonna get up early, make some bacon and eggs for me and my wife, and I'm gonna watch my first regular season game with my son. So I'm more excited for opening day this year than I think I ever have been for personal reasons. Definitely.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's
so
cool.
Bring it on.
I'm excited.
5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I have to decide whether I'm going to stay up or wake up early, depending on what's going on.
Buddy,
like high school all over again.
There's some nights that I just cannot fall asleep, and I really feel like if I'm still just like tossing and turning in bed, I might just be like, let's turn the Cubs game on, let's watch it in the morning. So I'm excited though. Hey guys, what is your kind of routine? What's your setup? Do you guys have like you watch at home, or do you ever go out to watch with other Cubs fans, or kind of as we're getting closer to the season, I kind of excited about figuring out that we have a Cubs bar here in Orlando, so I'm going to see if that um, is a good thing to go to this year.
We've actually got a surprising amount of Chicago Chicago native owned bars and restaurants around here in Savannah area that have most Cubs games on. I usually watch at home with the family,
Right.
Or have the radio on in the truck to or from on the way home from work or whatever. But I'm excited to watch some of them this year. I got a couple friends locally that are big enough baseball fans that they'll come sit and have a beer and watch it with me.
That's awesome.
No, I do a little bit of everything. When I'm at work, I listen to the radio. Got a job site radio that I love Pat Hughes. I think we're so blessed to have him as a radio announcer. But I watch a lot of I watch a lot of the games at home, and then we've got obviously I'm 60 miles from Chicago, so we've got a lot of local bars out here, and it's going to change now that I have a child. But the past few seasons, I've gone to 20 to 30 home games.
Nice.
For those Cubs fans local in the area or those traveling, there is a free parking lot for going to Cubs games where a bus will shuttle you from the free parking lot to the game. It's a total game changer because parking in Wrigleyville is sometimes $70 to $80.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So those of you thinking that I'm rich for going to that, I'm not. I took nosebleed seats and got free parking. So
there you go. That's the whole. I try. I don't think I've seen them down here yet. They were down here with Miami, but that's like 4 hours away. It would have to be like a big. Tampa's more 2 hours away, so that's probably more doable. And I actually went to a Rays game.
Tampa south of you or north?
Southwest.
A little southwest.
Yeah.
It's the other side of the state, right?
It's on the West Coast, and I'm right in the middle. Right in the middle, and the East Coast is Daytona Beach. But yeah, so I've not gone to a game in person with the Cubs yet. I want to see if they're playing Tampa this year. I'm not sure, but if they are, that's close enough where I would probably go out there. But I'm excited though, man, because I do the MLB TV. Although every year there's fewer and fewer games on there, but and also I do the work from home thing. So it's like if it's a day game, I just turn it on and do my work and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'll tell you, I love that this is what we're talking about because here we go. Things are ready to go, and we're gonna get going. I mean, I think for the podcast in the meantime, as we're figuring this out, I mean, I'm excited, right? Because we're doing the weekly thing now. What that's gonna mean is, listen, we are, for those who are for those out there, we're trying to build this into a nice resource, reference, whatever you want to call it, because we're three Cubs fans who just want to talk Cubs all the time. So I love that we're going to be able to do it weekly. What that's going to mean is a lot more time in the episode to talk about specific things, right? We don't have to cover 2 weeks worth of things. As the games come on, we're going to try to do regular kind of quick responses.
Rotating wrap-ups.
Yeah, wrap-ups to the games and just figuring out because right now it's our preseason, right? It's our spring training. We're trying to figure out what this looks like. And just from a podcast side, guys, talk to me a little bit about just this is your first podcast when it comes to regular season, right? This is my first Cubs, definitely my first Cubs podcast and my first sports podcast. Not my first podcast. So I've done a few as a writer and technology guy, but talk to me a little bit just as you jumping into this first podcast. Who are some of the people you follow, and what are some of the things that they do that you're hoping to kind of, if not duplicate, at least emulate?
I'm a big fan of the CHGO Cubs podcast. Yeah. Shout out to them. They were my second most listened podcast last year. I love Cody Delmendo. Friends with him on Facebook. He's super nice in person, and I love the just driving to work in the morning and listening to the previous day's podcast, and just I listen to the same music that I have since high school, so it gets a little redundant. So it's nice to have a fresh podcast. And it's baseball. There's always something to talk about, whether it's the Cubs or as an overall just baseball fan. Every year there's something special and unique, and I'm just excited. I really do think the Cubs are a playoff team, and I'm starting to get myself too worked up. I think we're contenders for a deep playoff run. And
Ethan, to the point that you just made, I think a couple episodes ago we talked about the Hall of Fame inductions. So we will be talking about MLB related things if there's big time news of whether it's I don't know no hitters, crazy plays, whatever. So that's gonna be part of our conversation once the season starts, where we have a lot more material to pull from. Right now it's a matter of let's figure out who's gonna be on the roster, and then But yeah, obviously the focus is going to be the Cubs. But yeah, dude, that's the other thing is like we are baseball fans through and through, and that's the thing we're all, and that again, that's a cool thing for me is that we have this platform now where if something cool does happen, we can be like, hey, send a message, hey, we got to talk about this because, and I love that aspect of podcasts in general. I mean, Rob, what are you kind of excited for and looking forward to when it comes to the podcast related?
I mean, I'm just excited that kind of to echo you and second you again. I'm excited that we're going to be able to get this going every week, and that we're going to be able to kind of dive in a little more on particulars. I'm a big stat guy. I like my numbers, and we can. I'm sure we'll argue about the veracity of one stat versus another at some point here. I'm excited to try some new things with the podcast. I'm excited to get some of the short form stuff going that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm just ready for Cubs baseball that isn't
baseball that counts. Training. Baseball that counts. To your point, I mean, I think we've talked a little bit about this and not giving away the whole game, but we do plan to make this a much bigger thing than just a quote unquote just a podcast. But that's down the road. And personally, I have a friend of mine who I think he's still there, who works for Des Moines Register, and I do plan to bring him on a little bit to talk about the Cubs minor league. Obviously, they're not reporting until I think April or May or something like that, right? But when that season comes around, we'll be able to talk to him. I know you guys have some connections, and not to mention some of these other podcasts. I mean, to me, it's an ecosystem that should be collaborative. You know what I mean? All these Cubs fans trying to do cool things, and I think there's a lot of room for everybody to have fun and talk Cubs baseball. And I'm excited for that.
No, I am too, and I think just being with like-minded people. I can speak for all of us. Cubs fandom it's a big part of my life, and to share that with other people and to hopefully turn this into something is really special. So it just makes me look forward to this season even more.
162-0. I'm calling it right now.
If that happens, I will donate my left leg to charity. Okay.
I'll take the under. I'll take the under on that one. Gentlemen, hey, another great time with you guys. We love the Cubs. We love talking about them. I'm excited for the real games to start. So for anybody out there, let us know what you want to talk about. Bring up anything. We are open to new conversations and just I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. But for now, that's it for us this week. Episode 4. We're now going weekly, so we're excited to do episode 5. We'll see you next week for that. In the meantime, go Cubs, and we will talk to you guys again, gentlemen. We'll see you guys again next week.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.